Hello beautiful people, my name is Lilith and this is Spud or Dud, the cozy show where I get my hands dirty with a bountiful harvest of farming games from the good, the bad, to the downright ugly. Today we'll be taking a look at Wild Season. Wild Season was released in December of 2015 by indie developers Quickfire Games after a Kickstarter campaign raised over $32,000 from over 1,500 backers. I am intimately familiar with this because I was one of them, spending a cool $26.99 back in October of 2014. You have to keep in mind it was a different time back then. After the massive success of Stardew Valley in 2016, a veritable wealth of farming simulator games has sprouted forth from the rich, fertile soils of game development studios all over the globe. Prior to this, if you were a fan of the Harvest Moon series, which was more or less the only farming simulator of its kind in existence, you were very much out of luck if you were looking for a fresh take on the genre. So when I saw a studio was creating an entirely new IP, heavily inspired by the Harvest Moon franchise, with an emphasis on story, mystery, and social elements, I couldn't give them my credit card fast enough. I have since learned it's generally considered to be a good idea to research the projects and companies you're backing on a crowdfunding platform before you part with your hard-earned cash. Oh well, some of us just have to learn that lesson the hard way. This game made many promises, including, but not limited to, many distractions, friends, enemies, love, heartbreak, marriage, winning, losing, discovering some mysteries, and the meaning of true evil. Those are some big claims. Despite all of these promises, the game was left unfinished. The developers, nowhere to be seen. The last update from Quickfire Games came in 2016 and it has been considered abandoned ever since. How could you do this to me, Sharon Balani? I trusted you. Maybe that's what they meant when they said I'd be experiencing heartbreak, losing, and the meaning of true evil. Even if it wasn't, I decided to turn my experience of losing into an experience of winning. Because I already paid money for this dumpster fire of a broken, unfinished game, I might as well get my money's worth by turning it into content. I actually started recording this in October of 2022. I think the game is just so bad, spoiler alert, I simply switched it off and tried my best to scrub it from my memory entirely. But now I have a book full of borderline nonsensical notes and several hours of suffering in video form, and well, sharing is caring, so my gift to you is sharing in my pain. Let's jump right in. Starting off, we had this opening title card and soundtrack, and it's good. It's really good. It's light, atmospheric, it has the right amount of kitschy cuteness. I'm getting excited to do some farming. And the moment's passed. Ignoring the background music for a moment, because it sounds not entirely unlike my cat falling off of a glockenspiel, this interface, it's not good. Here I am trying to type my name with a keyboard and no, it's not letting me type my name. Do I have to? Oh, okay. I have to select each letter manually. This system was so off-putting, I wrote my name with 2 capital L's. You know, like the cool kids do. And now the birthday list is just, it isn't letting me select anything. Okay. I guess I have a new birthday now. Also, I don't know what my blood type is. I wish I knew. This is a total segue, but I actually went to donate blood a few months ago with the intention of not only saving lives, but also finally getting to learn what my blood type is. Except apparently my veins are extremely hard to find, so they wouldn't even do it. Last week I had to get a blood test done for medical reasons, and the first clinic I went to sent me to the hospital to see a specialized phlebologist, because my super special snowflake veins continue to remain practically invisible apparently. By that point I had been fasting for so long I nearly fainted. That experience was more fun than this game. So I tried to fix my birthday, only to discover that despite everything else so far being selectable via the mouse, The seasons can only be tabbed to by using the directional keys. I've never studied game design, and even I know that consistency is key. So, after fighting with a UI that has a higher difficulty curve than Dark Souls, I am warned by this mystery woman to be careful. Probably because we're floating in an empty void, you know, like the one left in my soul after this game broke my heart. It's a rather ominous warning, but loath am I to not take advice from complete strangers, so careful I will be. So, yeah, that's the opening cutscene to the game. We are off to a strong start. What? Did that say rocket launcher obtained? Rocket launcher. You know, I've played my fair share of cozy games in my time, and there are certain staples you'd expect to find in any title under the farming sim genre. Sometimes there are tools or mechanics that are a bit different and may pleasantly surprise you. So I cannot wait to find out how a rocket launcher fits into the sweet, cozy cottagecore narrative of life on the farm. It seems as though after my massively traumatic car accident and illegal firearms deal, I have awoken in some sort of inn. First impressions, the character portraits are really nicely done. I think the art style's quite cute. The music is back to being pleasant and unobtrusive, and the environments look fine. They lack a bit of depth, and I'm a little concerned about the creeping black expanse of pure nothingness on the edges, but I do appreciate the effort taken to make small adjustments to the beds and shelves so they all look a little bit different. It's all in the little details for me. The UI is also fine. I don't see any problem with it, although the tool hotbar is a little bit big if I did have to nitpick. And yep, nope, that does indeed seem to be a really tiny portrait of a rocket launcher. Pretty standard WASD movement, and I can't seem to interact with anything yet, and it's around this point that my game crashes. Awesome. Do all of that again, and we are back in action! I must say, I do like the character portraits a lot more than the character sprites. There's just something really off-putting about their side profiles. Also, I couldn't help but notice the welcome mat is written in a default Windows font. Don't ask me which one, graphic design is not my passion, but something about it just feels like a placeholder. Surely you don't mind, says the mystery woman about rummaging through my pockets, and I'd like to go on record and say yes, I do mind. I mind very much. Stay out of my pockets. They're full of secrets. I've barely started playing, and already the big version number 1.0.7 in the bottom corner being always present is bothering me. I'm really trying to give this game a fair chance by coming into this as neutral as possible, but I just get the feeling it's only going to get worse.
Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
So this couple, the mayor and Rosalind, found my mangled body on the side of the road, and rather than call an ambulance, decided the best course of action was to let me sleep it off and rifle through my belongings. They exposition dump about the quaint country town I just so happened to have found myself in when we were interrupted by someone with a turtleneck and a blazer, so you know they know stuff. Apparently, I've decided to purchase a farm on a whim out of the back of a dodgy magazine, which definitely is something I would totally 100% do. And despite the property not actually being for sale and seemingly no one being happy about the idea of me living there, the citizens of Bedford Valley have decided to honour this mystery agreement. I mean, I can purchase a different farm out of a different dodgy magazine if it's really that much of an issue. I'm sure those are a dime a dozen. I will give credit where credit is due. In these sorts of games, usually the townsfolk are falling over themselves to be your best friend when all you've done is plant 2 turnips, rifled through their garbage cans, and tried to give someone a weed. Although it feels a bit jarring compared to the usual comfy tone of a farming sim, I will absolutely pay out that this awkwardness bordering on hostility is actually kind of a fresh take, and I don't think I hate it just yet. I do, however, hate that the cursor looks a little bit too much like a, you know what? Never mind, moving on. The classic, let's go look at the overrun farm trope. I love this part of starting any new farming game, truly I do. Although this shade of green they picked for the grass is a bit intense. When I eventually stopped this particular recording session, it was actually motivated almost entirely by how tired and sore the overly vivid green was making my eyes. It was genuinely painful. And oh gods! What is that? What is that? Is that what I think it is? Hey guys? Just out of curiosity, what did you say the previous owner used this barn for again? 'Cause I have some concerns. Now, I am fairly confident that these are supposed to be spider webs, but let's be real. You guys are seeing what I'm seeing, right? We're on the same page? Okay, good. Moving on. Is what I'd like to say, except every other building on this farm looks like the aftermath of a convention for a very, very specific tag on a very, very specific website. Back out in the exhausting neon green wasteland, our 2 new besties are being extremely suspicious and weird. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm almost starting to get intrigued by the whole mystery here. What is up with this farm? Why don't they want me here? My only notes in this section just say, why everyone's so sus, and then a full stop so you know I'm being serious. Quick note, I caught use of the they-them pronouns there. I genuinely really enjoy that. Representation is something that's very important to me, and I will always applaud game developers who take the time to ensure they are building inclusive worlds. We magically teleport to the town square and oh heck! Oh, I can pick up the dog! I have a dog now! 10 out of 10, best game ever made! 100%, love this game. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this dog, but who cares? I have a dog! It's almost enough to distract me from the bad walk cycle animations and floaty movement controls. I feel like I'm ice skating across the screen, which is especially true because just like real ice skating where I spend most of it on my butt, this game too is both jarring and painful. Also, it's been said before, but if you design a follow quest where your walk speed is massively disproportionate to the NPC's walk speed, you deserve your own level in hell. Now I have the utter delight of meeting more of the town's occupants. Jaundice, Mom Jr., and Pompadour with Jaundice. Another awkward conversation later and the mayor decides to have a glitched out dance party for one in the doorway. I watch on in quiet horror. Now outside, I hijack a cat, stick it on my head, and entertain the locals with a deliciously floaty rendition of a Disney on Ice number. Get dragged along to meet more of the terminally delightful, that's sarcasm, townsfolk and get fed lines about my blue eyes that sound like something pulled straight out of a Wattpad fanfiction. I'm not so sure I like the design of being strong-armed into sprinting all over the village to shake hands with every single person who lives there, despite their extremely obvious hostility towards me for no apparent reason. Just let me do this at my own pace. Let me play the game. This is basically an unending cutscene. I've been playing now for just over half an hour at this point, and I have not had the chance to do a single thing by myself. I'm pretty sure the first time I ever tried to play this game when it first came out, this was my quit moment. If not for the fact I had already committed myself to documenting the full scope of the atrocities of this game, I would have gone and played something, anything else, at this point in time. If there's one thing I love though, it's a cheeky little bit of IP theft, because that is most definitely a TARDIS from Doctor Who. It's not even subtle or a cute little Easter egg, it's just sitting there. And my goodness, if I thought the neon green grass was bad, I was not prepared for the blinding white floor of this doctor's surgery. Does this medical practice come in dark mode? Please, I am begging. I just can't look at this for much. Oh, never mind, there's a dilf. You know what's really making the forced to meet everyone slog even more unbearable? None of these people are even remotely a little bit nice. It's really starting to take a toll on my self-esteem. I feel like garbage just for showing my face around here. It is not a pleasant player experience. I know I praised the developer for doing something different with the weird vibes around town earlier, but forcing your player to be a captive audience to a never-ending onslaught of bad vibes and nasty stares sounds like something that should be outlawed by the Geneva Convention. My therapist is most definitely going to hear about this. And I can't stop looking at the tile seams in the water. The animation's almost cute, but it, again, really feels like a placeholder. For some reason, on this screen, I am able to type using my keyboard. Things are dire if that is starting to sound like a positive feature. Finally, after almost 45 minutes, I am given the freedom to actually move around and play the game. Naturally, I immediately find a way to equip the rocket launcher and I fired her into my kitchen and oh my god, what? I honestly can't tell if I love this or hate this. Cottagecore farming game checklist. Buy seeds. Till the soil. Forage the spoils of the forest. Shoot rotund chickens into the endless void surrounding my domicile. There are 0 icons on the calendar, so the only way to find out if there is an event is to tab over the day itself, and leaving my home starts another dialogue cutscene. God, I knew it was too good to be true. I should have stayed indoors shooting chickens out of my rocket launcher. Also, why is everything sepia now? Never mind. I said I would try and give this game a fair trial, and now that I am free to actually play the game, I intend to do just that. Using the tools feels pretty satisfying. And it's kind of fun to begin clearing my field. I clearly don't fully understand the laws of this universe enough yet, however, because I am struggling to make the mental connection of how planting seeds makes a watering can materialize in my hotbar, and how using said watering can gives me a trout? Who the heck was that? Do residents just use my private property as a thoroughfare? Alexa, remind me to write no trespassing on all of the fences. Also here, I can't read my handwriting for the note I made in my notebook, but it looks like want to get Yavin a find a Pokemon. I think I was trying to make a clever joke about Pokemon hiding in the tall grass. Also, I noticed that time seems to move very slowly, especially compared to games like Friends of Mineral Town, Stardew Valley, or other titles with an in-game clock. I haven't decided if that's a good or a bad thing yet. And why can't I leave? The minimap seems to indicate there's an opening here, but if so, where? I can't go any of the other ways either. Guess I don't have a lot of options. And this is where I discover something genuinely pretty game-breaking. Frustratingly, despite being given an entire trout earlier, I don't have a way to break the rocks. That might be fine if I can still till around them and simply have to suffer the decreased harvest yield numbers until I unlock that tool or ability, but the game will not let you plant seeds unless they are on a perfect 3x3 grid. Not only that, but those 3x3 grids also need to be aligned to an invisible grid on the field itself. And there are not enough spaces without rocks in them that align to both grid systems to let me plant my seeds. See how the outline of where I could plant seeds keeps snapping to different tiles? This is really bad. Like, this is really bad. And I feel this should have been on the top of the list of things to fix before this game ever saw the light of day. Clicking on this book reveals a quest list, along with other gameplay tabs like the inventory, your profile, and the world map. I kind of like the idea of having dailies in a single-player game experience like this, because it rewards you for building those consistent habits and reinforcing the intended core gameplay loop. Ah, I see. The trout was given to me in order to complete the tutorial. Or should I say, the trout-torial? Actually, no. No, I shouldn't say that. Nobody should ever say that. However, just a word of wisdom to any aspiring game developer, please, and I am once again begging here, please make sure your tutorial, you know, the thing that teaches people how to play your game in the first place, Please make sure your tutorial is easy to understand and doesn't leave them completely bewildered as to why they were given both a rocket launcher and a fish. Nobody should ever be confused while wielding one of those two objects, for safety reasons. I was just starting to enjoy myself clearing the farmland when I got teleported to the top of my farm. Okay, I am actually a huge fan of removing player agency at random intervals. 10 out of 10. It's a must-have mechanic for any game that I want to play, especially if I get dragged into yet another unskippable dialogue where someone is vague and nasty to me. My psychologist is on speed dial as we speak. I get outplayed by the tile spacing issue again, and I think that's my cue to sleep. Perhaps this entire game up until this point was just a beautiful nightmare, and I'll wake up bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and ready to enjoy some actual farming sim gameplay in my farming sim game. It's a revolutionary concept, I know, but stick with me. And just when I was starting to regroup my sanity, I met with this incredible cutscene that starts with my character announcing that there is a knock at the door before the knock.mp3 audio file is played. There's no voice acting for this, which at this point in my playthrough I'm beginning to feel is a blessing, but this entire scene is so indescribable I feel the need to show it to you in full. So I'm going to read this entire exchange so the people who have this video playing in the background while they do other things can also enjoy this experience. Disclaimer, I am not a voice actor. Oh, hello dear. I didn't wake you, did I? So sorry to just walk in like this. My husband and I have keys to every home in town just in case there's an emergency. In small towns, you have to look out for one another. It's different from the city. Anyway, I brought you breakfast. Please, sit. I was making these this morning for my family and I thought, that poor girl, waking up to this rundown place all alone, in a strange town, not knowing a soul, not even knowing how to farm. I felt so terrible and I couldn't help but come over and take care of you. I was thinking about your predicament on the way over and I realized what you reminded me of. Those poor strangers who gather what little they have to move to a new land that promises them freedom and riches, but when they arrive they might as well have not left at all. Well, with being shunned like that. And even if they did want to go back, the little they gathered is now gone, and they are forced to live out their days in a place they don't feel they belong. People haven't exactly been kind since you've arrived, have they, Lilith? I tell her I'm not exactly sure if she's being nice right now, and she says, as I said before, people in small towns look out for one another. They become nervous when someone new arrives. They feel that a new person might upset the natural order of things. Now you and I, we're cultured. We understand that people move all the time. The people of Bedford, though, why, they're having trouble accepting the new doctor and he is needed here. What I'm saying is, it's hard to live in this town, especially when you have little to no idea of how to run a farm on top of it all. I mean, look at it out there. It's a disaster. It'll take days alone just to clear out enough room for some crops and animals. It's so much harder than you think. I'd like to help you get back the little you've gathered to move here, Lilith. I'd like to purchase the farm. Didn't you just call it a disaster, though? But hand it over to the right people. I'm sure they can make it flourish. Why, even Holst's inquired about it just yesterday. Perfect match, really. So the mayor's office can write you a check as early as tomorrow morning, and once you pack and sign some paperwork, you can be on your way. Oh, and you'll need another car, right? I'm certain that I can arrange for a new one. After all, it was our poorly maintained roads that stranded you here in the first place. So, Lilith, do you accept my offer? Here's the core of my issue with the story. Am I interested in knowing why everyone's being so shifty and weird about my presence here? Yes. Am I the sort of person who would subject themselves to this level of hostility and bullying from complete strangers? Absolutely not. Also, I'm fairly certain Rosalind's going to unalive me. For a gag, I say, you know what? Fine. Rosalind seems happy, and I get a game over screen, informing me that I return to the city and never learn the secret of Bedford Valley. Oh well, I really wasn't given any sort of personal drive or incentive to figure out the secret of Bedford Valley. I want to just call it quits here, but I'll give the game one last chance. I'm really determined to experience as much of the game as possible because I don't want to judge it just from a slightly janky tutorial level. Perhaps it gets really good once it gets off the ground. I reload my save and I am treated to a momentary but terrifying view of a bunch of doors and random character models floating in the void before I get to joyfully replay Rosalind's menacing conversation. I tell Rosalind I'm not selling the farm and she responds with a very frosty, "People your age usually call a mayor's wife ma'am." Okay, Karen. She angrily threatens me a little more in my own home and I contemplate shooting her with my chicken bazooka. Instead, I spend some time throwing a plate of pancakes around the house before leaving with them on my head, like a very avant-garde sort of hat. And oh goody, another cutscene! Another unskippable dialogue! With the only person in town who clearly hasn't drunk the water because they are the only person so far who hasn't treated me like dirt. Sure, I'll go with you, complete stranger. I have nothing better to do with my time and I definitely don't want to participate in any farming-related activities. In my farming game. I get dragged around town yet again, but this time at least my brain cells are being warmed by the gentle sensory experience of my pancake hat. We meet this guy and my notes just say PH ? And so rewatching my footage, I was expecting something weird to happen that you might expect on a certain black and orange website. But no. It's just that this guy has a really bizarre speaking mannerism where he puts PH where F's would be. I don't even know what that's supposed to say about his character or mannerisms because those sound the same if read aloud. What is the point? This scene is actually kind of pretty. The town looks grossly unfinished, but hey, if you hold your hand up to your monitor and cover it, the rest of it's not too bad. Maybe they were intending to go back and clean it up before a major release. I don't know. Another long, unskippable, unavoidable, unplayable cutscene later and I can finally put down the plate of pancakes I just took on a scenic tour of the entire continent. Honestly, no wonder nobody likes me. Apparently it's hard to make friends with a plate of breakfast food on your head. Finally, I get to do some actual farming and I decide to explore a little bit of my own free will. I discover something truly shocking and disturbing. Is this the mystery of Bedford Valley? Oh, nope, it's just a horrifically formatted text box. I am honestly in awe of how messed up it is. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be so harsh. Maybe they were just really rushed and did the absolute best they could. And then I remind myself I paid over 30 Australian dollars for this experience. Is that the cow model? Say psych right now. Not even the comedic genius of the tutorial telling me to interact with my animals for the most engaging conversation of my life is enough to distract from this clip art looking nightmare beast. They're so blurry. They're so... What is this? I venture deeper into the wilds and ooh, bestie, there is no two ways about it. This area looks rough. Horrible repeating wall textures, bland, empty ground with the same haphazardly scattered plant sprite, and what I can only describe as one of the worst waterfalls I have ever had the misfortune to experience in my entire life. I think this is the point where I lost even the faintest crumb of hope and optimism. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure it's incredibly difficult to create a game, especially with a small team, and they probably started out with grand intentions, etc., so on and so forth. But I'm out $30 and I hold grudges, so let's speedrun some of the pure jank I had to sit through in order to make this video. No direction continuity when walking through openings. Hole in the map. Wandering off of the map into the dark expanse of space. Absolutely nothing to do, see, collect or forage in this entire space. Mining cave with nothing in it that begs me constantly to return to the entrance like it too knows how bad it is. Nighttime visuals reminiscent of the mid-2000s piss filter. Can't exit unless you're on a very specific tile. Twerking cats. Dick! Door opens despite telling me it's locked. Man hides under table to escape my ridicule. He fails. World's ugliest interior design winners, 10 years running. Can't see a ding-dang thing. Still unsure if this is an improvement or not. Book is flashing, but I have no idea what it wants from me. Also, apparently my blood type has changed. I genuinely can't tell if that's a bug or something spooky. Attempting to see if the game has a forced bedtime results in a major jump scare as soon as the in-game clock hits 4 AM. Welcome back to the mid-2000s filter, getting up close and personal with the locals, teleporting tech support. And the final curtain call, the final quit moment for me with this poor game isn't even from any of the wonky, awkward, or downright strange occurrences that have happened in this game up to this point. It's here, where I have full control to go about my day and enjoy life on the farm, except I just don't care. I don't know how to get the additional tools I desperately need. I don't have any incentive to explore or try and befriend anybody in town. I have zero motivation or hook to keep me invested in this world. I take a break to rest my eyes since the heavy saturation is starting to make my retinas burn, and I just don't want to come back to it. I had initially intended to try and give it at least 5 or so hours before I felt qualified to give an honest review, but I really think I've seen everything I need to. The most exciting part about playing this game comes right here at the end, where I get to uninstall it from my PC. So in conclusion, I award my old season a chicken rocket launcher out of 10. Thanks so much for watching! If you have any recommendations for games you'd like to see in a future video, please leave a comment letting me know. Also, a big thank you to my sexy, hot, and wonderful friends over on my Twitch channel and in my Discord. Links below if you'd like to get to sit at the cool kids table with us. Have an amazing day, don't do anything I wouldn't do, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye!